Hello, my name is Simon Freitas,
And my name is Azeb Freitas.
and we are the co-hosts of the Freitas Effect podcast.
Woo! Okay, so we are super excited to be here because we are resurrecting our Conversations with Creative segment.
It's back.
So these episodes are brought to you in collaboration with Entropy Theatre for Entropyfest, which is also under the theme Emergence. Entropyfest is a celebration of local emerging artists in the New England area, and the Freitas Effect is serving as your MCs on the weekends of May 20th through the 22nd and May 27th through the 28th.
Yeah.
Ticket information will be available in our social medias and in Entropy's social media platforms, and probably in the description of these episodes.
I hope I do that. So we are also here with the Entropy Company members, Colin Closson, Joseph Juknievich, and Kayleigh Kane. So I will slide right into our introduction question. Would each of you please introduce yourself and how the people should know you, how you would like the people to know you? Who would like to begin?
Colin.
Colin! Gracefully volunteered by Kayleigh.
Hi, I'm Colin Closson, pronouns he, him, his. I am kind of I'd say the business person at Entropy Theatre.
And then Joe goes next.
Joe goes next. Here we go.
Hi, my name's Joe Juknievich, and I'm one of the founding company members of Entropy Theatre. And I help with a little bit of everything, but a lot of artistic planning and production, I'll say today. I'm a freelance theater maker, theater director in the Boston area.
I am Kayleigh Kane. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am also a company member at Entropy Theatre. I am the culture and practices organizer, and I also just do a lot of theater making, acting, comedy, etc. in the Boston area. And I decided long ago that the order was going to be how Simon said our names, and I was unable to be flexible in that moment. So thank you, Colin and Joe, for jumping in with your intros.
Awesome.
Oh my God, I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
I was wondering where the order came from, but
I was like, we all know it. Simon said the order.
Simon,
Come on, let's go.
Also, for the listeners, Simon is also a company member of Entropy.
Yes, I is.
Yay. Yeah.
Very proud.
So going off of that, our first question is, how did you get involved with Entropy and how did it start? So whoever wants to take that, feel free to run with it.
I think we can probably answer this one fairly collaboratively. I think, as Joe said, Joe, Kayleigh, and I are the three founding members of Entropy Theatre. We kicked off this project in January of 2019. Joe and Kayleigh and I have all known each other for what feels like a million years now. Joe and I since high school, and Kayleigh and I since college, and have been doing theater together, and just wanted a space to be able to start working on our own stuff and be able to create theater kind of in the way that we felt theater should be created, very much artist focused. And so that's how we got going.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the driving factor behind wanting to form our own company, because we were all in our own ways already involved in the theater community. And I remember at the time, like Joe and I had just gotten off of, I think we did like several projects in a row together as we like to work generally. And we were looking at the work we were doing, and there were just some frustrations at not being able to work quite as openly, as transparently, as freely, etc. with artists as we wanted to. And we found that by self-producing, when we did that for the first time, we felt like we were able to make the process really collaborative with everyone in the room. And it felt very refreshing, and it's something we wanted to keep doing.
Yeah, I think working in a collaborative model was really important for all of us very early on. We're very interested in hearing from the artists that we work with, both in Entropy, and I think we can say on any other projects that we work on as individuals. None of us are very interested in just sort of showing up and doing the work sort of as expected. We're really keen on creating spaces where discoveries can be made and collaborations can happen.
What are things you think are important for us to know about Entropy Theatre?
That's kind of an interesting question because I was thinking about this. I think there are a lot of things that make us unique. There are a lot of things that feel unique about working within Entropy. To me, and from what I hear from artists that work with us as well, there are a lot of things that feel different and important to the space. But what's interesting is I think it can be hard to nail those things down because with each with each project and with each process that we embark upon, the process tends to shift and change with whoever's in the room. With whoever is in the room, we adjust our approach for what works for that group of artists. And so I think it's funny when I think of our practices because there are some values that we always try to carry over. These are things you can read about on our website. You know, we're always committed to consent-based practices, anti-racism, trauma-informed practices. These things we always like to carry over. But when we have different groups in the space, different people like to work in different ways. So when thinking in kind of that meta way about the way we work, it can look really different depending on the project.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off of what Kayleigh said, we have just spent, I think, probably a lot more time than other companies talking about the way we want to work before actually doing it. We do have, as Kayleigh mentioned, a lot of values that we try to carry from show to show, and over the 3 years we've been in existence, we've, tried to really nail down those things to be as specific as possible and make it so that people could access those values. Like we said, it's all on our website. Transparency is really important to us. And I think we don't want to just stick to the status quo because it's what's already always been done. We want to thoroughly discuss something to make sure that it feels good for everyone. That's something that's really important to us.
Yeah, I vibe with everything that has been said about those questions, because just as a company member, like hearing that, me being brought on, I feel like that was a big part, kind of questioning the status quo, like that aligns a lot with my connection with Entropy. So I really wanted to kind of throw that in there. What is your website?
Oh, great question. It's entropytheatre.com.
People, where to go.
Get there.
I remembered what I was going to say. In all the work that we do, we're process focused more so than product focused, maybe is a kind of shorter way of saying it. We believe the sort of social structure of the project that we're working on, that sort of is the project in a lot of ways. It's not so much like, oh, we have to do this show with this big thing in it, or it has to, the thing that always has to happen is the artist feeling included, that they can see themselves in the work, in the process, and whatever comes out on the other end. And so we're always looking to broaden who's in the room, not just based off of social identities, but also I think what Entropyfest is starting to do is the kinds of artists that they are, not even just, we don't just necessarily want to work with, I am a playwright or I'm just a theater actor. We're interested in working with a wide range of performing artists.
Yeah, and what's so exciting for me that I've kind of discovered through this Entropy work is that when you put that emphasis on process, as we do, when people feel like they can own their own process and advocate for themselves and feel empowered in the room as artists, the product is amazing. Like, it's very exciting for me that it really is. We've always placed this emphasis on process, and not to de-emphasize the product, right? But just by placing that emphasis, by valuing the time with each other in the room, it's kind of amazing what comes out of it. The work that blossoms when artists when they're able to play and be themselves and have a good time, feel valued.
For real.
It's always exciting when audiences tell us that they can tell that the artists are very invested in the project, or each other too, that it's clear that they're sort of all in it together. That's always a very exciting thing to hear.
That moves so smoothly into our next question.
Perfect segue.
Yes, about Entropy Fest! How in sync we are sometimes. Sometimes you can like literally see it happening.
I didn't even have to look at her.
I love it. Felt it. I was like, here he comes with the harmony. Our next question is, what does Entropy Fest mean to you? Why is this event so important for the community? And what kind of impact do you hope that it has?
I was giving some thought to this question. I really think Entropy Fest is a culmination of something we've been talking about wanting to do since we founded the company, which was just some sort of festival to bring together a large group of artists. And, we've been talking about it essentially for 3 years. So it's really exciting that we're finally getting a chance to do it. And I think now is such a perfect time to be doing it as restrictions start to lift with COVID. People have been cooped up for a long time, probably working on their more personal projects. And we're hoping to give them a chance to share that work, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, there are so many reasons why I'm excited for Entropy Fest. Even in the abstract, I mean, so many artists have been waiting to showcase their work, the past couple of years. And so to give people that opportunity, I think is really special. To raise funds for arts in the community is really special. To give people an exciting night or afternoon or evening is very special. All these things are really exciting to me. And the main thing about Entropy Fest that I think really just puts a fire inside me is that feeling when you are out at an event and you see an artist, whether it's like a musician or you stumble upon some public visual art or you see a performance artist, whatever it is, whatever circles you're in artistically. When you discover someone who lives in your community and is creating this work in your community, that feeling is like, how did I not know about this person? Now I have this whole new human to be a huge fan of. And I feel like just watching, like we've been going through the submissions for Entropy Fest, and I feel like every single submission is that experience for me where I'm like, oh my gosh, a new artist that I love. And that's an incredible discovery, and it's fun and it's fresh and it's exciting. And I'm hoping that Entropy is just going to be that for our audience just over and over and over again. Every single person that comes on stage is just an exciting opportunity to become someone's biggest fan.
I think what's exciting too, Kayleigh, is not just for audiences, but also the other artists involved, because these people are from pretty much completely, everyone is from a different discipline and probably don't know each other the same way that like everyone in the theater community, there's people know each other. So I think we're going to be introducing a lot of artists, which is really exciting, and possibly, sparking future collaborations between those artists.
Yeah, so true.
It's a chance to really take that social structure and think about it in a new way, in a really exciting way, I think. I look at Entropy Fest like a celebration of the artists, of experimentation, of emergence. I think is this idea of coming into being, and I think right now there's a lot of sort of self-actualization happening with artists and everyone to some degree with the world that we're living in. So a chance to say, hey, we want to support you in this work, and there's an audience here to support you, a community. I think that's very exciting, and it just opens up so many more kind of opportunities for that. These are all projects that could go on and have lives together separately or otherwise. So I'm excited to see how this helps out all the artists individually, as well as the works that they're doing and where they go from here too.
Why did Entropy Theatre choose to focus on emerging artists?
They know what's up. I think
we are in the know, period.
Yeah. I think, emerging artists are, especially now, asking all those very exciting questions about what their practice, their craft can be, and what can any of this be. Not that people who are further along in their careers aren't continuing to do this or are able to do it as well. But I think there's something exciting about championing that kind of like I don't know, early out kind of let's make it happen sort of energy. And we're, emerging ourselves too. So
Yeah.
a chance to connect with other emerging artists and see where we can all kind of emerge together.
We've always been a huge proponent as a company of giving folks maybe their first opportunity in the community where they don't have a network yet, or they don't have a lot of experience yet. And then we've seen several times just in our short life so far as a company of, working with someone and then seeing them go on to do like really big, amazing projects that can sustain them as an artist. And that's just, we love to see it. We love that. And what's exciting too about the project is this project, Entropyfest, is that all of the artists are emerging artists in Entropyfest, but it means something a little different for a lot of the different artists. Like some of them, this is like their first performance in the Boston area, which is incredible. Some people have been doing their art for decades, but they're sharing it in a new way. Or some folks have gone through a change, and that change is reflected in their art, and they feel like this is an emergence of their new style or their new way of creating. And I think to see it all together there's so much energy in it. It's going to be so cool.
I don't know. I would love, a sort of dream would be have these kinds of events and these festivals, all over the place. I don't think there can be too many. I mean, apart from, the point where, there's, I guess, only so much of an audience, but I think we could always work to be expanding audiences too. So yeah, I think just now is the time to experiment. And I would love Boston to have something of a experimental downtown, late night, people doing really cool stuff in really cool spaces sort of scene would be, I think, really, really cool.
Yeah. Let's get weird.
We're gonna get weird.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's coming.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Literally.
This is the hosting energy. We're seeing it on full display, and I love it. It's the perfect preview.
So we're gonna shift a little bit. I mean, I really liked how y'all talked about how you're emerging as you're promoting emerging artists, and like it's this whole cohesive movement of just like, let's uplift each other as we continue to grow and prosper and build community.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, I could talk about this for like ever, because this is what I studied in undergrad and is just like my life.
We're gonna keep talking about it.
So we're gonna get a little more individualistic. We would like to know if y'all identify as artists or art appreciators, or if that is even like a space of identity for you, just because we know it can be like a weird question for some people, even though we're all like interacting with the arts world. Just like, do you identify as any of those things?
Yes. All of the above. Artist and facilitator of art making. There's, for me, almost always a stage of some kind. Sometimes it's usually like a stage, but not always. And there's usually some element of performance to it. It's usually theater. I'm interested in, like Entropyfest, sort of mixing it all together too.
Yeah, I am certainly a fan of art. I love to consume art, admire art, be inspired by art, and I am an artist myself. I very much consider myself a multidisciplinary artist. My work is very much in theater and performance, but I'm always creating something. I think during the pandemic too, it became very important to be able to create on an independent level. So I've actually been grateful to really explore different avenues for art making as well.
I would say I'm probably the only one here that doesn't personally identify as an artist myself, but obviously a huge supporter of artists. I've worked like on theater productions as a stage manager before, and I think what really gets me going is just being able to support artists and make it happen, and like be in the room, but in definitely a more either technical or, like I said, like a business oriented role. not so much interested in doing the art myself. But I love to
Arts
see
of
it.
administration.
Yes, exactly.
Admin arts.
I am an artist with the Excel spreadsheets, if you will.
We need you.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yes.
Artists
Yeah.
can't do this by themselves, like for
Yes.
real.
And let me tell you, those spreadsheets are an art, Colin. I mean,
Yes.
it's amazing what you can do.
Glad we have all our budgets on our website, and that's partly a showcase of Colin's spreadsheet work.
That's the real reason we put them up. We were like, pay
Yes.
transparency, like that's important, but really we want people to
Colin
see
needs to.
My art.
these spreadsheets.
You have to show people.
Colin's Gallery on the value section.
That's what I'm gonna rename
Could
this
be
page.
a whole piece.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Modern art. So the next question is, how did you find your path to the arts world?
So the very first play that I ever directed, I was a sophomore in high school, which would be about 12 years ago now, which is sort of crazy to think about. And getting started was a teacher and then another teacher saying, you should try this. You should do this. When I had not really done much theater or much directing before. But I was very thankful for that encouragement, because that sort of one thing led to another in terms of me teaching myself a lot of things, going out and seeing theater, meeting other theater artists, taking classes in undergrad, and going out and seeking the knowledge that I'm most interested in. And now I'm working on an MFA, which is very exciting, in interdisciplinary arts. I was surprised. Yeah, I was very thankful from that early encouragement. It was in school, it was in an educational environment, but it's always been when you have like the freedom in an educational space to like do what you want, like where it's like the most exciting. It can be like a garden where everyone can just sort of like grow and flourish. I've always been into that energy.
I love that imagery. That's
I also
really nice.
I don't mean to cut you off, Kayleigh, because I definitely we need to hear your answer. I just want to point out that I was digging through the Entropy files of the early days of Entropy, and it's not the garden, it was the playground, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, damn it. Okay, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of metaphors.
It's a great memory.
I thought the garden was the name, but it was the possible name for Entropy, but it was the playground. I'm sorry.
The playground, yeah. We call the rehearsal room the playground sometimes.
That's cute.
Yeah, we just like to have a good time.
That.
Like to play.
I like the idea of like the freedom and how it's just that, when you have that space to grow, you actually fucking grow. Like, it's like you're allowed to be yourself, so you figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Simon, me, you, and Kayleigh worked on a show in college, a student-run theater organization. Having that opportunity at UNH with Mask and Dagger was huge. To have an opportunity to make mistakes too, and like in kind of a big way. And
Boy,
that's hard.
did we!
Eurydice? That was a fun show.
But
It
also,
was fun.
but also, like, don't downplay any of the work that you did in undergrad, because that shit is like, honestly, some of the work I've done in undergrad is like some of the most raw shit I've ever done in my life,
Y'all literally made it rain on stage. Like, that was amazing. Like,
yeah, it was a lot. I'm just walking.
Like sometimes you look back and you're like, cringe. But then you look back and you're like, oh, but that was some good shit. And the passion is there, Like the passion is very much there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I look back and I'm like, we were really going for it. Like, I'm proud of that, really. We did not back down
No.
from our aspirations.
That was great.
Yeah. And it's hard when you have, after college, you have a theater company to plan for that, because we still want to be able to like have the freedom to fail, so to speak. Obviously, we don't want people to get hurt or lose a bunch of money or anything, but I think that again goes back to, well, how do we just sort of build the conditions for the space so that just like have have a net in the room so that we can walk on the tightrope or whatever. Just have all the things there so that people can go to, take the chances that they feel like they can take. Not just safe, but like a brave space to sort of like do stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to say how I found my way to the arts. It felt more like I was a real like teaching my cousin's choreography kid. You know what I mean? There were paper yes, I see the two of you. I think you understand what I'm saying here.
That was Azeb. Azeb literally used to pull us in a room and be like, this is what we're doing. Like, yeah,
kindred spirits. I was cutting out those construction paper tickets in the living room at a very young age. So
amazing.
It never really felt like a choice as much as something I just I was compulsed to do.
It chose my life.
Yeah, it chose me. It grabbed me by the throat and would not let go. I love it though. I love being an artist. I love creating. I was doing it kind of like not in the background, but just kind of constantly for years until a few years ago, several years ago now, I guess, that it kind of became my career. It felt like a necessity for it to take center stage. Yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride through the arts.
For me, I think I came into theater mostly like as a social mechanism. A lot of my friends in high school were doing theater, and so it just made sense for me to also get involved so we could all hang out after school. I was definitely involved with whatever production Joe was saying was the first one he directed at our sophomore year of high school.
You were in it, I believe.
Oh no.
What?
First,
wait,
I believe.
Wait.
Was it All the Great Books?
No, I think it was. Did you have I wrote a little one-act play sophomore year of high school called
yes,
What Are the
was.
Odds?
Yes, I was.
That took place on a subway, and everybody figures out
that kind of a background character.
Yes.
So I guess I got my start with acting, but it didn't quite suit me, so I moved backstage. And then kind of like Kayleigh, like it just keeps pulling me back in. Like every time I'm like, okay, like I'm done high school, I'm not going to do it in college, and then stumble into a theater, and then I'm done college, I'm not going to keep doing it after, and then here I am.
I'll double down.
Yeah, go owning a theater company. So it's hard to get away from once you get involved. But it's a lot of fun, and it's still a great way to meet people. A little harder during the pandemic times, but still I've met people the past couple productions we've worked on and virtually and stuff.
I will say, because we've made a couple jokes about this, and I won't speak for you, Colin, but for me, it is a choice.
Yes.
It did keep pulling me back. Like I kept feeling the pull, but it is a choice. It's the way I want to live my life, is sharing stories with other people. It is very much, I'm happy that we're artists.
Yay. I know, I'm out here like thug life.
Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, you got to really choose it every day, because there are challenges.
Oh, for sure. Feel free to elaborate.
About the challenges?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let the people know.
Ooh, okay.
But if
I think challenges of being an artist, I feel challenged by it all the time. I mean, I think what the most unexpected challenge, there are challenges you expect, like the kind of the isolation of it. Sometimes you're working alone a lot, and for an artist that's very collaborative, like a lot of the people in this room are, that can be difficult. Obviously there are financial challenges with being an artist. I don't think that's a secret. But I think my most unexpected challenge when this really became a career for me was how difficult it is to live a very unstructured life, or a structure at least that's constantly changing, and not even due to the pandemic, although very much due to the pandemic, but just in general. We're on a schedule where the rehearsal schedule changes every few months, and the nature of your art is constantly morphing. Schedule changes come with that, and even just like waking up in the morning and not having a totally clear picture of how the day is going to go. Some people love that. I love it and feel challenged by it, but it is tough to really be in charge of your own time in that way. I think that's one of the most surprising challenges for me.
Mm-hmm. Preach.
Yeah, I was even seeing, I know it's a meme, but I saw this thing that was like, one of the things about being an entrepreneur that you don't expect is that one week you're going to make $2,000 and the next week you might make 300. Like, yeah, it's not consistent, but you just have to keep pushing through if you really believe in your work and like what you're doing, and you stay true to your mission, your passion, and you really hope that it's going to follow through for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that looks like different. It looks a different way for everybody, because some folks, they might have like a 9-to-5 job that they go to. It doesn't make them any less of an artist, but even that comes with its own challenges as well. And for me, not having like a workplace necessarily, like not having one single office where I go and see people at the water cooler, what I try and do is I like grab coffee or virtual coffee with a lot of artists. I've done it a few times this week, just like grabbing even for a quick half-hour chat or like after work drink or whatever, just to talk about the challenges that we're both experiencing. It's been really important for me during the pandemic because it was good to know that other people were struggling with some of the same stuff, and to share strategies or even just talk through some ideas you've been having is really important. It's important, like the community that we've been talking about, building that kind of community for yourself is always important to do.
Yeah, especially seeing people like over a cup of coffee versus over a community talk about racism, or like a talk about how we're going to change everything to be perfect in the next year. And it's like, no, I just want to talk about dogs, or like, it's like, I just want to be chill and talk about how I'm making a painting. Like, it's like, sometimes I just want to be an artist and not change the whole entire world with it. Like, and other times I do, but like not all the time. So
what do you guys do for your day jobs? Like, is this your day job?
If you have a day job.
If you have a day job, yeah. Like, what's your day?
I am an actuary, which means I work at an insurance company basically as a data analyst. So the opposite of what Kayleigh has just described, the most regimented, like structured, and I love it. I mean, that's part of the reason I could never be an artist. I simply couldn't do that. I need to know exactly what my day is going to look like, basically. So I really enjoy having that structure.
I love that we're both getting what we need, Colin.
And I work as the senior program assistant and office manager for the Colleges of the Fenway. It's an organization that administers joint contracts and student experiences across the 5 colleges of the Fenway neighborhood. And I just started that about a month ago. And one of those programs is performing arts, which is really, really cool. They do a block party, they do intramural sports. I'm always looking at like the kind of like art brain and the like survival productivity brain, sort of like one can't over exacerbate the other. Like if it's too much art brain, you're just like and then you don't eat. And then like if it's just a survival brain, you're just sort of not doing anything. You're just sort of like just so you've got to like have that balance of stuff. So I'm always looking for a job that at least has collaboration, being with people, coordinating, making events. Always love an event.
Yeah, I already talked a bit about the lack of structure in my day, but I don't have a regular like day job that I work. I very much connect with what Joe said about it constantly being a balance of what you need to do and what you have to do and what you want to do and what you feel fulfilled by and what's going to make you be able to pay your rent. And, it's a constant balance as an artist. And there are certain jobs, I won't say which, that, veer more towards one end of the spectrum or another, but I teach a lot of classes. I teach a lot of improv classes, some like acting and creative movement classes. I do some corporate gigs, some corporate comedy gigs, show up at your workplace and tell you jokes, and people love that. It's a lot of fun though. I work with some really great people doing that, and every day looks a little bit different.
So we're gonna wrap this up with my favorite segment, at least, called the key takeaways.
Take the keys. Take them. Take those keys. Take them. Okay.
So my key takeaway question is gonna be: if you have any advice to emerging artists, what would you give?
Find your community. Find your teammates. They might be people you work directly with, or they might be people that you grab coffee with, but grab a teammate. It makes it so much easier.
And make the work that's true to you. Find what's true for you and not what other people are telling you to make or you think you should make. Or I think it's very easy. We were talking early on about the beginning of getting into the arts, and it's almost hard to conceptualize because it feels so organic. It's connected to playing with cousins, or it's just so natural. And so hold on to the kind of why you're in it. And there's always the working out the business side of things, but I think sticking to what is true and saying it in the way you want to is really what's important.
I'll say don't underestimate your ability to just do things, and don't overestimate how much other people have stuff figured out. If there's one thing I've learned with Entropy, it's felt like we've just made a lot of this up as we go along, but I have realized that's what everyone's doing. Nobody has a handbook for this stuff. Everyone is figuring it out as they go. So don't feel like you can't be doing the same. Don't feel like you've got to be perfect or have it all figured out.
Simon, any key takeaways for you?
Yes. I feel like a theme that I've been hearing is to be kind to yourself. Being an artist is very challenging, and we're not going to lie to you and say that it's easy and that it's, just you could just be an artist. No, you have to make a choice every day to be an artist. It grabs you by the throat and says you got to be an artist, but also it's something that keeps coming into your life, and you make a choice to keep it there. So take care of yourself so that you can keep showing up to be your best self.
Love it.
All right, Azeb, top that.
Okay, well, don't worry, I will. Sibling rivalry.
All right.
I just need 1 second.
One more key takeaway is just watching the two of you be so in sync that at one point, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, the two of you took a sip at the exact same time, same level, same pace. I was enraptured by this.
Disgusting.
Oh, it happens
we start
all the time.
Fusing, and no one can stop it from happening.
It's a beautiful thing to witness.
Thank you. We have to warn people sometimes just because it can be off-putting. But okay, I actually in fact am going to top that. So I was listening, unlike Simon, when you guys were talking. And I'm just kidding. He obviously was probably thinking the same things I was thinking because we're in sync. But I kind of just wrote down some words of what I took away from hearing you guys talk, of just how focused you guys are on being collaborative and just flexible and inclusive and self-empowering and driven, and how Entropy is a small team but a very mighty team, very mindful. I loved what you said about, very being focused on just like the process and the experience, but especially for the artist. These are just things that the arts world needs right now. And I think you guys are leading by example by providing that kind of model and space and literally living up to what you're saying. Especially, I've experienced the things that you guys have put on like during the pandemic, and I thought it was extremely creative, very welcoming and entertaining, to be doing the kind of shit that y'all are doing when the world is like canceled. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking amazing. So I just wanted to give you guys a lot of accolades because you deserve, and because I understand how much work it takes to like put things like that on. Also, just like talking about embracing intersectionality, how to foster really like true connections within the arts community. That can be really, really, really hard to do in Boston, specifically here in a place where creative sector suffers so goddamn much. And I will openly say, because I have no problem being targeted, but I'm like, you want to talk, hit my email, azebfreitas@gmail.com. I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
I'm literally always ready to start a fight though.
Leave a comment.
When it comes to this shit.
Leave a review at azebfreitas.
You might get posted.
You will.
Yes. And then also, Kayleigh, I felt like you were really preaching, the unstructured lifestyle, and just like how that can be really like that can really turn you away. And I think, as I always have to bring up in every single episode, capitalism does not allow for artists to thrive. You feels me? I know you do. But the thing is like, capitalism lives in this way where there is a life cycle that is just a non-ever stopping linear line of just constantly working. Therefore, we have no time to balance or rest, because what we're really supposed to be doing is sleeping in the winter, preparing for excitement in the spring, working in the summer, and then harvesting all the beauty that we created, But unfortunately, the United States of America does not allow us to do so, and other probably capitalistic countries. But I just needed to bring that to light so that everyone knows that we're aware that that is a major factor that makes artists suffer. To not end on a low note.
Thank God.
To not end on a low note. I hope that inspires people, especially emerging artists, to continue to move forward, to know that all of that shit resonates, even as somebody who's been in the game since forever, choreographing for our cousins,
Yeah.
I love it.
And we're going to need artists to imagine other paradigms and structures to replace those things. Yeah.
We're going to need artists the whole damn time.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah. So keep creating entropies of your own, guys. Don't let
Simon, take us out.
We're gonna fucking win, y'all. All right, amazing. So thank you so much for joining us to share Entropy's story and the stories of all our company members. We are excited to see everything that Entropyfest will be producing, and we can't wait to celebrate all the amazing artists in the New England area. I'm just gonna give up on speaking English. So love you guys. Take care. Have a great night. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.